This here episode of Little Did I Know is about the legacy, somewhat, of John Day. On a recent trip to the John Day area, I spied a sign that made me wonder if I really knew who John Day was. So I asked a smart feller at the BLM to tell me the tale.
But he was an American hunter that came across to Oregon in 1812 along with the Hunt expedition. They were the early Astorians.
While John Day is famous in this here neck of the woods, John may have very well kept company with someone even more famous back in his younger days.
It's pretty fair to assume that John Day knew of Daniel Boone. He came across from Virginia into Kentucky, lived, it's believed, in the area where Boone and his family lived, and then moved, as Boone and his family did, to the area of Missouri and owned land in the same general area.
While John was at least middle-aged by the time he made it to Oregon, the young adventurer in him kept pushing him further west.
John Jacob Astor was setting up his Pacific Fur Company out in what would become Astoria, there at the mouth of the Columbia River.
During John's expedition west, Lady Luck nearly drew him the death card.
He became ill and had to stay back. He had to stay back from the main group, which really was almost a death sentence.
And for John, it nearly was.
The native peoples there had recently had an incident with some of their fur trapping compadres who had come up from Fort Astoria, and two of the native peoples had been killed by the fur trappers. Now,
John and his companion had encountered some natives prior in the trip, and their assistance probably saved their lives.
And their fire had died out, and if it weren't for some Shoshone people coming by and starting their fire and giving them some support, they would certainly die.
But an ill-fated case of mistaken identity led to a much different outcome with this encounter.
They end up taking everything, their guns, their knives, any equipment they had, their very clothing off their bodies.
The attackers left them with their lives intact,
but stark naked as the day he was born, one of them would later write.
A wise man once said, "It's darkest right before the dawn."
And then they see this a boat coming down, this canoe coming down the river. And you can imagine being one of the fur trappers on the canoe, coming down, and you hear someone yelling, "Over here, over here."
John and his companion were saved. They told their harrowing tale to the trappers who saved them, and as they passed by the mouth of the river where it happened, John Day became immortalized in American history.
Because of that story, as they passed the river, they identified what's known today as the John Day River as the place where this took place.
But little did I know, that's about all of the John Day area that John Day was ever actually in. The rest of the web was spun through the threads of history.
So really, the John Day River is named for this very harrowing experience that this one person had for a few moments at a period of where he was very destitute in life.
Now hold on. You don't think I could end this tale without a plot twist, did you? Believe it or not, the John Day River in our area ain't the only John Day River.
And there are two John Day rivers in Oregon, which I think is interesting as well. There's a John Day River there just near Astoria that's named for him.
So John Day, who never actually spent any time in most of the John Day area, finished his days on the Oregon coast.
That's where his personal story ends, but his name and legacy somewhat lives on in his name.
For all of us at this here Central Oregon Daily News, I'm meteorologist Scott Elness.